My name is Maciej Kauc, and I work as a host for international conferences, not just in Poland. I also host a radio show, a talk show in which I talk to foreigners who happen to live in Poland, and I've been doing this for 6 years, so I'm so excited to see so many people from various countries and regions of the world, so that's really great. There are, however, 8 member states of the European Union, but we're also going to be joined by people from Norway and from Russia. So we are really sure that we have all the cooperation we need across the Baltic Sea, because the Baltic is at our heart. And I feel as though this is the great moment to welcome the host of this event, because we're in the Pomorskie region, not just a beautiful region, not just a tremendous city with a great history, not just a metropolitan area with more than 1.2 million people, but also a very well-connected region and a very ecological region after all. It's great to have you, Mr. Marshal of Pomorskie region. Please welcome Mr. Mieczysław Struk. Mr. Marshal, yes, it would be great if you just share your welcoming words.
Dear Commissioner, Ministers, representatives of the diplomatic circles, academia, business, local and regional governments, NGOs, European and Baltic Sea institutions and organizations, and especially President Roger Ribera. Dear youth, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I am honored and pleased to host the 10th Jubilee Annual Forum of the European Union Strategy for the Baltic Sea region. It's also my pleasure to stress that Pomorskie region has already co-organized the 2nd Annual Forum in 2011, as well as a roundtable on environment prior to establishment of the Baltic Sea strategy. I believe it is a proof of our strong involvement in the Baltic Sea affairs. This time we have taken this responsible task together with Baltic Sea States Sub-Regional Cooperation Norwegian Presidency, European Commission and Polish Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It has been a great job together. The 21st century has brought many challenges, including rapid changes in technology, crisis of capitalism, growing egoism, migrations, aging of population, generation divides and climate crisis, looming shortages of natural resources. This is quite a gloomy picture. We believe that actions are needed and really quickly to make the best use of the still existing positive potential. To prepare well for those actions, we have decided to concentrate during those 2 days debates on circular and sharing economy. I must say this concept is nothing new. It was coined a long time ago, and many visionaries and experts have been working on putting it into practice. However, we have not treated the issue seriously enough. Policies have been defined, initiatives launched, but consumerism and devastating approach to natural resources proved to be permanent. It's just recently that the world have noticed we have to change and do it fast. And thus, we see reports and initiatives driven by United Nations, the World Economic Forum, the European Commission, or CBSS, which all deal with the circular and sharing economy concept. Let me mention Here are some examples for circular economy in our region, such as Pomorskie participating in the Polish Circular Hotspot Initiative, or establishment of Eco Agora, Pomorskie social communication platform, providing information and promoting educative actions, or initiatives such as Plastic-Free Gdańsk. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a good starting point. What we need now is a more coordinated action with policymakers, business, academia and civil society. We need political leadership, common vision, closer collaboration and structural social changes on all levels. We need to prepare an offer which would be attractive enough to get citizens on board. That is why we have gathered at this forum, to see where we are, to learn from the more advanced, to decide on joint actions and look bravely into the future. To this, we have prepared 3 reports. Better Together, on the 10 years of European strategy for the Baltic Sea region. No time to waste, unlocking the circular potential of the Baltic Sea region and Circular Baltic 2030, with best practices from our area and beyond. We will be also provided with the message from a 3-day Baltic youth camp for over 100 youth people discussing circular economy needs among others. I'm looking forward to hearing it. Some experts say it is already too late to stop the changes. Others say we still can make a difference. I belong to the second group. We are just in the process of revising the European strategy for the Baltic Sea region. It should concentrate more on sustainable development goals, including circular and sharing economy, so that the Baltic Sea region could maintain its position as a forerunner in the field. We have just elected a new European Parliament, which is greener than before. Let's hope its political decisions will be greener too. And we strongly advocate the decisions on the EU budget to be more green and circular. There is no time to waste. Also for the member states. Ladies and gentlemen, thanking all of you, our experts, speakers, and all participants for coming to Gdańsk. I wish you a great debate. Thank you very much. Welcome to Gdańsk.
Thank you very much, Mr. Marshall. It is our pleasure. We need to revise our actions, but the time is better than ever, and we really hope for more green decisions. Thank you very much for these words. It really would be great. I think forerunner is the right word that we have just used, or the Marshal has just used, because it actually is also really important to mention that we, the Baltic Seas, were the first macro region in the European Union to start working together with the strategy. So it really looks good. The future looks bright, even though there are many challenges. I guess some of them might be addressed by the Commissioner for Internal Market, Industry, Entrepreneurship and Small and Medium Enterprises, European Commission. Please meet Mrs. Elżbieta Bieńkowska.
Panie Marszałku, Panie Ministrze, Panowie Ambasadorowie, wszyscy Państwo, przyjaciele. Wiemy, że językiem jest angielski, ale chciałam chociaż 2 słowa po prostu powiedzieć. I just wanted to say a few words in Polish before I start in English. So it's very nice and I'm really happy and honored to be here in Gdańsk again. last week we celebrated the 30th anniversary of, in the place where all started, in Gdańsk, of the democratic changes in Poland. So I'm really happy to be here to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Baltic Sea Strategy. I was a Minister of Regional Development 10 years ago when the strategy was adopted, so I'm really even more honored to be here. Thank you very much for the invitation. I know that you will have a message from Commissioner Kretsu and Commissioner Vella later on, but let me start with the general message from the European Commission. I was just saying about the 30th anniversary, and it was really in Poland definitely, our big dream of freedom, a big dream of solidarity, and it has all started with this big dream. And I think that now is a moment, today is a moment, we have to dream big again. This is the moment. And we have to dream about definitely our future. We have to dream about the future of our planet. And this means undoubtedly thinking about climate change, thinking about environment, thinking about ecology. This is a #1 issue for our humans in the 2090 and onward. But it also means thinking about individual rivers, individual streams, individual forests. People often think that moving to a circular economy is a policy choice. But reality today is that this is inevitable. We face global competition for resources. We need to secure our supplies. By 2050, we need to completely reform our economy, definitely in the European Union. And of course, it will not be easy. Sectors relevant nowadays to the circular economy currently employ more than 4 million workers. They generate almost 150 billion in value added and attract 3 billion investments. So the challenge is to make it happen in the least disruptive way. So what we have to do, we must carry out the investment right now. We must put in place the right framework condition right now. But of course, we need to wait to reap the maximum benefits later. I think also from what we've heard from Marshal Struk, that in Gdańsk, generally, I hope that in Poland also, people understand challenges like that. But what should be noticed is that after this peaceful revolution 30 years ago, both Gdańsk, Poland were not alone then. In the transition process, we are supported by Europe. And this is exactly the way that will have to be next move for the circular economy. None of us in Europe can do it alone. None of us. Not a single member state, not a single region. We need to work in partnership, in a very close partnership, and the Baltic Sea Strategy is a good example of this. Not only EU, but also beyond. In the Commission, as you know, we proposed in 2015 the Circular Economy Action Plan. It is the framework from new recycling targets to a new directive on single-use plastics under the new EU plastic strategy, to the revised fertilizers regulation and wastewater recycling for agriculture. And this is all the true legacy of this Commission. We have worked with the Member States, with the local communities. All Member States, let me remind you, agreed to recycle 65% of waste by 2035, and all of them need to fulfill this commitment by 2035. As I said, Baltic Sea Strategy is really excellent example showing why such cooperation matters. This sea is equally important for all of us, so we need to look after this properly. And this is not only about planning our investments in accordance, for example, with Nature 2000 principles, especially, let me underline this, in infrastructure projects. This is also about microplastics emission. This is also about toxic chemicals. This is also about air quality. It is not good enough if we fix one source of environmental damage while at the same time causing a new one. We need to fix them all at the same time and reap the benefits later. Today, as we celebrate the third anniversary of the strategy, the importance of this strategy, of the Baltic Sea region strategy, is undeniable. This forum is a living proof of the strength of this cooperation. It has become a benchmark for other micro-regional strategies. It is already producing results, but we need to renew strong commitments from all partners. A more focused action plan could be one way. A better focus especially on the areas where macro-regional cooperation brings clear added value would impose really the success rate of the strategy. Next point, using the programming exercise of the next MFF from 21 to 27 to embed the strategy priorities in the mainstream programs. This is extremely important. You have to look carefully at this. Could be really a unique opportunity to have additional financing also. Let me conclude by saying that today we have really an excellent opportunity to identify which key opportunities should be further supported and which key barriers should be lifted. But let me stress again, we need to work together. And I truly hope that the next action plan in the Baltic Sea region strategy will help achieve just this. And I wish you all the best luck in developing and in implementing this, not only for the next 10 years, but for much more. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Jeszcze powiem dwa słowa polskie. Naprawdę jestem szczęśliwa, że jestem w tej filharmonii, z którą mam tak wiele dobrych wspomnień, która też była finansowana ze środków europejskich. Tutaj podpisywano polsko-norweski program wiele lat temu. To jest naprawdę wspaniałe miejsce i dziękuję Państwu za zaproszenie.
Thank you very much. One of the issues that Mrs. Commissioner just touched is this Philharmonic and how it was also built with large subsidies coming from the European Union. So this actually, this building itself is also a symbol of the cooperation as well as the Norwegian program. There needs to be more cooperation, maybe a more focused action plan. These are some of the ideas expressed in the speech. We are really waiting and looking forward to hearing from the Entrepreneurship Minister of Poland, Secretary of State, Mr. Marcin Ociepa. Please welcome him.
Thank you very much, Madam Commissioner, dear colleagues, friends, ministers from the European Union members countries, dear Marshal of the Pomorskie Voivodeship, Excellencies, ambassadors, dear friends. On behalf of Polish government, I want to welcome you warmly here in Poland and to the beautiful city of Gdańsk. We are all honored to open the 10th annual forum of the EU Strategy for the Baltic Sea region and officially inaugurate the celebration of the 10th anniversary of the strategy. 10 years have passed since the EU member states around the Baltic Sea decide to step up with their efforts in transforming our region into an even safer, wealthier, and more interconnected place to live in. We can boast hundreds of tangible project results in areas of environmental protection, bioeconomy, health, education, innovation, maritime safety, tourism, culture, and transport. The 10th anniversary of the strategy is not the only with Poles happily celebrate this year. A week ago, we commemorate the 13th anniversary of the first partially free elections in Poland after the Second World War, which were a result of people's desire for freedom and opened up the way towards achieving completely sovereignty. On 1st of May, we celebrate the 15th anniversary of joining the European Union, which was a historic milestone for my country and for the rest of the continent, also for our dear friends from Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. We have witnessed the fulfillment of hopes and dreams of many generations of Europeans, dreams of reunited Europe, which could finally recover after the post-war ruinous divisions. Ladies and gentlemen, macro-regional strategies give us possibility to implement joint actions with cross-border impact, aimed at improving living conditions of the local communities. Action that normally would not be possible to undertake by one country, or would turn to be less effective. Regions that can create and implement projects in partnerships, not only actively participate in building EU cohesion, but also acquire numerous skills and side benefits, such as better coordination of activities and integration of stakeholders around strategic goals. I would like to encourage you to read the publication prepared by the Polish Ministry of Foreign Affairs on the occasion of the Jubilee of the strategy, which shows all your efforts in a 10-year perspective. The brochure is distributed during the forum. The cooperation in the Baltic Sea region has been flourishing already since the beginning of the 1990s. Yet the region still faces many challenges. Climate change, endangered marine ecosystem, new social trends like aging or depopulation, health risks related to new styles of living, and increasingly volatile international environment are among some of the most pressing ones. While looking for solutions, we should approach the challenges with the determination of turning them into new opportunities. This attitude should guide us towards innovative, cutting-edge ideas, including the circular economy model, which will be discussed comprehensively today and tomorrow during the forum. As a minister responsible for circular economy, I'm truly happy that this issue became the topic of the forum in Gdańsk. Even to Poland went through the social economic transformation quite recently, we have managed to decouple our economic growth from uncontrolled pressure on the environment. Nevertheless, we see the need for future actions. Therefore, we have started the transition from linear to circular economy. We work towards increasing the share of renewables as well as stimulating sustainable consumption and production. Supporting innovative technologies is another crucial aspect of effective transition to circular economy and efficient use of natural resources. The roadmap towards the circular economy transformation is ready to be adopted by the Polish government and will be in the next week. It is one of the strategic projects of our government with the National Strategy for Responsible Development. We want to focus on 4 areas which take into account Polish purity and specificity of the Polish economy: sustainable production, sustainable consumption, bioeconomy, and new business models. It needs to be underlined that circular economy is not only about waste and waste management. Despite of large potential in this area, the success of the circular economy transition has to be based on the entire value chain. It has to be emphasized that the transition towards the circular economy will be not possible without the involvement of society and changes in consumption patterns. For that, we need to build awareness and influence people's behaviors. I believe that events like the one that I'm honored to open today in Gdańsk are an important element in this context. I'm sure that during the forum, we will find many answers to some of the most pressing questions of our time. Let us hope that they will guide us towards another successful decade of cooperation in the region in the spirit of synergy and solidarity. I wish you all many fruitful meetings and inspiring discussions in this community of friends of Baltic Sea. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. Now it would really make a lot of sense to hear from one of the members of the European Baltic Sea region. And actually, Estonia is a very good example. The country was the first in the world to actually adopt online voting. I can only imagine how much paper they must have saved when they let people vote online. They also are the country which consists in 50% of forests, so they really can imagine how nature is important to us. We are going to hear from the ambassador of Estonia, Mr. Martin Roger. Let's welcome him.
Mr. Marshal, Madam Commissioner, Minister Ocheta, Ministers, friends of Baltic Sea Cooperation, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy and honored to participate at the 10th annual forum of the EU strategy for the Baltic Sea region, which has grown into the biggest regular event of the whole Baltic Sea cooperation. I would like to convey the regrets of my Prime Minister, Jüri Ratas, for not being here today. He sent his best wishes to the forum and requested me to read his address. I would like to thank the Pomorske Voivodeship, Baltic Sea States Sub-Regional Cooperation, Polish Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and all other organizers and contributors to this forum in Gdańsk. As last year we hosted the forum in Tallinn, I know how much work and efforts are needed for such events. As we look back to 10 years of the strategy, I have the opportunity to commend all stakeholders and partners of the strategy, all people involved in projects around the Baltic Sea. Strategy is about your commitment and your enthusiasm. Ladies and gentlemen, the annual forum has circular economy as one of its main themes, which is timely and topical. Circular economy is a complex issue, much closely linked to the work towards achieving sustainable development goals. In 2015, the European Commission adopted Circular Economy Action Plan, and in 4 years they have introduced Plastic Strategy and Single-Use Plastic Directive, among others. In the EU, we recently agreed to ban certain single-use plastics by 2021. Many activities contributing to the circularity have been already part of the EU strategy for the Baltic Sea region during its first 10 years. In the report to this forum, there are several detailed proposals on how to strengthen circularity both in general and in the framework of the strategy. I hope that the participants return home with some clear ideas on how to change our policies and possible steps to make the strategy stronger oriented towards circularity. We definitely need to take circularity more into account in the area of public procurement, investment policy, development of blue economy, sustainable tourism, and so on. Estonia pays serious attention to the issues of circular economy, and this autumn we plan to organize a second national conference on it. I would like to mention the potential of digitalization, use of timber and other biomaterials, and green technologies as directions. We cannot succeed without principled contribution and collaboration from our business communities, but also regions and municipalities, universities, NGOs, and consumers. We plan to prepare Estonian national strategic document and action plan in the area of circular economy by 2021. Important part of our plans is wider international cooperation, especially in the Baltic Sea region. Ladies and gentlemen, as today's session is called Clean, Healthy, Rich and Safe Baltic Sea, I would also like to make a couple of remarks on this issue specifically. Save the Sea is one of the 3 objectives of the strategy, yet the Baltic Sea is not in a good condition. Our continued efforts to reduce environmental impact by agriculture, industries, aquaculture, maritime transport, and fishing are still needed. In Estonia, as in many other European countries, young people are coming to the streets telling us to leave them a planet to live on. Let us not let them down. We know that one of the growing problems affecting the Baltic Sea as much as the world's oceans is marine litter. In addition to macroplastic waste we see, there are also microplastic particles, not visible to the human eye, but being as poisonous. Countries of the Baltic Sea region have already made steps to reduce plastic waste that pollutes the sea. However, with increasing transboundary trade, the waste collection and recycling need better solutions and cooperation. Several Baltic Sea states are using successful deposit refund systems for bottles, cans, and plastic containers. In Estonia, close to 90% of PET bottles are collected through the system. We need to develop a mutual deposit refund system so that packaging bought from one country can be easily utilized in another. This year, United Nations Environmental Assembly, under the Estonian presidency, agreed to significantly reduce the manufacturing and use of single-use plastic products by 2030 globally. We also need to talk about pharmaceutical residues in marine environments. This is a direct threat to fish and other marine wildlife. These pollutants do not disappear but accumulate into the aquatic flora and fauna, returning onto our own table. The strategy has been active in this issue already, but a lot remains to be done. Eutrophication is the biggest threat to our sea. Agriculture, including aquaculture, is considered the main source of current nutrient loads. It means that we have to look into the forms of aquaculture that enable to export nutrients from the marine environment or is at least neutral to nutrient loads. Ladies and gentlemen, in addition to these important substantial issues, I would like to say a couple of remarks about some very practical aspects relating to the strategy. 2019 is a busy period for EU macro-regional strategies, and in particular for the EU strategy for the Baltic Sea region. The review process of the strategy's action plan is on its way. Preparations of the new EU multi-annual financial framework continue, and we are in the beginning of the programming period consultations. In January, the Commission issued a new report about the progress of all 4 macro-regional strategies, and Council conclusions were adopted in May. I would like to outline 3 important elements of the work for the coming period. First, we have limited resources and thus need prioritization and more focused actions in all strategy cooperation areas, bringing clear added value. Second, the new Council conclusions are an important document for the new MFF period programming process. Our aim is better integration of the macro-regional strategies with the EU financial instruments. As regards financing, the strategy governance and communication activities, predictability and the continuity are keywords. Third, we need to improve the linkages between our sectorial ministries, strategy policy and horizontal areas, including in the steering groups. Dear friends of the Baltic Sea Cooperation, once again, our gratitude to the organizers of this forum, to the beautiful city of Gdańsk. Allow me to conclude with wishes of fruitful discussions, new ideas and proposals, finding new contexts and refreshing old ones. All the success to the 10th annual forum. Thank you for your attention, and thank you also for the kind words addressed towards Estonia and our achievements. Thank you.
It's all true. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Right now, we will hear from one of the organizers, because Pomorskie region is one of the organizers, and another one is the Baltic Sea States Sub-Regional Cooperation. The chairman of this organization, Mr. Roger Ryberg. Let's welcome him, please.
Thank you so much. And I think it's right to say, Dzień dobry, that was correct. To every one of you here in beautiful Gdańsk. Excellencies, ministers, Madam Commissioner, ambassadors, representatives of the European Commission, especially the host, Marshal Struck, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Baltic Sea States Sub-Regional Cooperation, I hereby wish you all very welcome to the 10th Annual Forum of the EU Strategy for the Baltic Sea region. The BSSC was partner in organizing the very first annual forum in Tallinn back in 2010, and we are very delighted again to be a part of and preparing and executing this important event. You see, and the BSSC, this very big organization, we represent 15 prosperous, full of development and eager to know regions in 10 countries in the northern part of Europe, and we cooperate very well in a very good atmosphere, but very good discussions as well. This strategy which we talk about, it was launched 10 years ago, been an important platform and framework, the Baltic Sea Region Cooperation at all levels, and guiding the work of the BSSC. The BSSC's aim is to advocate the interest of subnational level and raise the voice of youth within the framework of the strategy. Representing the partner country Norway, I'm proud to show the commitment and interest of Norway in the Baltic Sea region cooperation through our partnership in this year's strategy annual forum like this. The Norwegian government, as well as the cities and regions, have focused on circular economy and need to change into a greener society. Clean and sustainable oceans is a key priority for Norway, and Prime Minister Solberg has discussed with high-level politicians in Europe and globally over the past years about this one. And in 2019, also, Oslo is the great European green capital. In the BSSC, we see the need to further mainstream sustainable development at all levels, integrating economic, social, and environmental aspects, and recognizing their interlinkages to achieve sustainable development in all its dimensions. The 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the so-called SDGs, are our joint global action plan for a better future, a framework for political actions on all levels to face the multiple changes. The report Baltic 2030 bumps and road how the Baltic Sea States are performing the SDGs was commissioned by the Council of the Baltic Sea States, the so-called CBSS, and published in June last year. It shows that despite good performance, overall, the SDG Index and Dashboard report, compared to other regions in the world, the Baltic Sea region is currently far from sustainable, I'm afraid. The main challenges performances were identified in SDG number 12, Responsible Consumption and Production, the SDG 13, Climate Action, and the SDG 15, Life on Land. So, choosing circular and sharing economy as a basis for the 10th Annual Forum of the EU's Baltic Sea Region Strategy is therefore natural and logical. There is a necessity to raise awareness on how an innovative circular economy can bring us closer to reaching several of our key targets in the strategy. The important role that local and regional authorities, business sector, academia and NGOs have in this process should not be underestimated, and we who especially represent so many prosperous regions, we emphasize all the time the role of the regions to take more part in the action. And we need to stimulate knowledge development, peer reviews, exchange of good practices, and mutual learning among actors in the Baltic Sea region and beyond as well. A best practices report on circular economy is therefore one of the BSSC's contributions to this forum now. We hope you will find it inspiring. To us, the involvement of the youth has been very special, and to have the involvement youth into the work is a key priority to the BSSC. Together with the Union of Baltic Cities and Euro-Region Baltic, BSSC has promoted the inclusion of youth into the strategy already at several annual fora. Under the leading headline made by the youth, they say that nothing about us without us. It's well spoken, isn't it? It's worth an applause, I think. Nothing about us without us. I always dream about this every night. They have to take care. In 2019, we have stepped up this effort and have arranged a Baltic youth camp close to Dansk for around 100 young people in the days leading up to this annual forum. And several young people are contributing to this annual forum's program, both in plenary and parallel sessions. And I can assure you that the BSSC will continue to advocate for a fixed role for the youth voice within the EU strategy for the Baltic Sea region. And having experienced all this youth in the youth camp 2 days, they are so eager, they're so inspiring, us the older ones, the silver generation, and us with the modern haircut. Yeah, so we always have to think about all these questions, and they will never take a free time. They say this to us all the time. So this is very important to all politicians to know how to act forward. And working cross sectors, cross generations, and level of governance are important to achieve the ambitious goals of the strategy. Only when working together we can make a difference. I wish you all 2 fruitful days here in beautiful Gdansk, and may the sessions and seminars stimulate and inspire vivid discussions and exchange of ideas in support of a more sustainable Baltic Sea region, making use of all available capacities, and there's lots of energy in this room. You can feel it already. So thank you, and again, Dzień dobry. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Commissioner. Now, I know that this is quite unofficial, but my father always, when he hosts guests from around the world, they ask him, what type of words would you need? And Dzień dobry is obviously on the list, but my father always says 3 words help you in Poland. Dzień dobry, dziękuję, gin tonic. That's what he says. That was unofficial. When it comes to the official messages that I have to you, dear audience, I would like to let you know that some of the most influential people when it comes to the strategy could unfortunately not be here. But when it comes to Mrs. Corina Cretu, she actually was one of the originators of the whole program. So we definitely should pay our respects and listen to the video message that she has prepared as the regional commissioner, or actually the commissioner for regional policy. And here it is.
Dear ministers, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I am really sorry I could not be here with you today. And I know it is an important day. We are celebrating the 10th anniversary of the EU strategy for the Baltic Sea region. So, I am really grateful to my fellow Commissioner, Elisabeth Bieńkowska, for representing the European Commission at this forum. Over the last years, cohesion policy has been championing macro-regional strategies, and clearly the EU strategy for the Baltic Sea region, the first ever EU macro-regional strategy, has become a benchmark for the 3 other ones. The European Union strategy for the Baltic Sea region has done a lot. It has contributed to shape policies in key areas such as energy, environment, climate action and navigation. This echoes the theme of the conference, circular economy. Circular economy invites us to envisage our future differently, to innovate, to think outside the box. And I truly believe that macro-regional strategies are one of the best frameworks to do policy making differently. Dear friends, with the next multi-annual financial framework coming up, you have the opportunity to write a new chapter of macro-regional cooperation. And I truly believe that the proposed regulation for cohesion policy offers the right framework for you to take the Baltic strategy further. I am confident that you will continue to make all possible efforts to make this happen. As you may know, my mandate as Commissioner for Regional Policy is coming to an end, but I'll continue to be a vigorous advocate of macro-regional strategies. In the meantime, keep up the good work and happy 10th anniversary. Thank you very much.
Let us also hear from the Commissioner for Environment, Maritime Affairs and Fisheries from the European Commission, Mr. Carmenu Vella.
Dear Ministers, dear participants of the 10th Forum of the EU Strategy for the Baltic Sea region, thank you for allowing me to address you in Gdansk today. We launched this strategy 10 years ago. It ushered in a successful regional cooperation that continues to this day. I am very pleased to see that the theme of this year's forum is the circular economy. The circular economy addresses the environmental challenges in the Baltic Sea region. It can help transform our economies. I am happy to note that we are witnessing a growing political and social resolve to stop plastic pollution. The recent agreement between the European Parliament and the Council on single-use plastics and fishing gear is very good news. It establishes the most comprehensive plan to fight marine litter ever seen at the EU and global level. Yet, much more remains to be done to save the Baltic Sea. Although HELCOM's State of the Baltic Sea assessment shows signs of improvement, it also indicates how far we still are from reaching our goals. Marine litter, eutrophication, and hazardous substances remain challenges for the Baltic. It takes time to see the results of some of our measures. For example, the full environmental impact of nutrient reduction will become apparent only after several decades. Recently, you might have seen a Euronews report about the Baltic Blue Growth, a project that removes nutrients from the Baltic Sea by farming and harvesting blue mussels. I can only encourage you to continue developing and scaling up such initiatives. EU countries have also been working hard collectively to implement the Marine Strategy Framework Directive. Later this year, we will publish an implementation report. It takes a critical look at how far our member states have come in protecting our seas. This is crucial as we face the 2020 deadline for achieving good environmental status of the seas. And that is why the European Commission is a strong supporter of developing and growing the blue economy. The EU's vision is to ensure healthy, safe, secure, and sustainable oceans. Experience shows we can reverse the deterioration of the marine environment and safeguard the oceans through cooperation and goodwill. If we think creatively and stay committed to sustainability, economic rewards do come, and everyone will fare better.
Thank you very, very much. Now, one of our speakers, Mr. Roger Ryberg, has mentioned how important it is that the youth participate in this whole project. And actually, having a look at the hall here, it really makes us sure that everybody is really a part of it, so that's great. To make sure that as many young people as possible are involved in the process, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs here in Poland has established a competition to make the Baltic poster, and the best ones will now be awarded with some prizes. And to do so, I would like to invite the Director from Public and Cultural Diplomacy Department, Mr. Łukasz Lutostański, to the stage. Let us welcome him with an applause. Thank you very much.
Dear Minister, Marshal, ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen, communicating a message, isn't this what we all try to do every day? Isn't this what the people have always tried to do since the beginning of time? Well, it turns out that some of the best instruments to communicate your message had been with us for ages. Among them have been posters, eye-catching and informative, textual and graphic. They have long been regarded as art, the kind of art that is especially loved here in Poland. Poland has a long tradition of poster design and a poster art. And the posters have been a special place in our heart, in our soul, in good times and in bad times. And that is why we have announced the poster contest, Reduce, Reuse, Rethink. Why did we do this? Because there is an important message to communicate, important for our region, important for our environment, and important for our health. The International Baltic Poster Contest, organized by the Polish Foreign Ministry, has received as many as 105 posters from the Baltic Sea region. I thank the organizers for giving us all the opportunity, and I have the honor to present the winners and the recipients of that honorable mention. Thank you.
Let us find out who the winners are. You also will be able to see their posters on the screens. So the first place winner is Mrs. Angelika Salska. Congratulations. Angelika, if you stay on the stage, that would be great. There will be more people coming. And congratulations on the poster. Actually, it takes a little bit of time to look at it and to really see the meaning, but the meaning is there. Congratulations. The second place winner is Vera Kampainen. We would also be happy to be joined by the third place winner, who happens to be Mr. Alexei Tsekocho. And Alexei, I want to just say that I was probably more successful about the Alexei part of your name and not your last name, because your last name is
Tsetsoho.
Tsetsoho. I'm sorry. A big round of applause for this young guy. Yeah. There are many posters that we also really liked. Let me just tell about a few. Marcelina Gorzelana. That's an honorable mention and a wonderful piece of art. Natalia Ignachak. That is great. One of the winners could not be here, but we would like to see his poster, Dawid Podsiedlik. Another one who is here with us, Mr. Kamil Skrzypiec. A wonderful poster. Another one from Jakub Susi. And there are two more honorable creators of the posters, and these are Marcel Dezor. Marcel is unfortunately not here, but he really could focus on how much litter there actually is, maritime litter, in the seaside, in the sea. So it really leaves us with some space for thinking about it, but Maja Żurawiecka has another one. Yeah. Now this, Mr. Director, looks a little bit like the posters in the movie times, because many Polish creators would actually make great posters for movies, and that's what you surely meant. It would be great if we could just hear your support for all the winners, please. Director, if you could just join them for a second for the final pictures. You guys just smile one more time, look at the cameras. We're really proud of you. I wish we could talk about your pieces of art, but we're going to do it during the break. Thank you so very much. Okay, and now I hope that you will just take comfortable seats and have a look at the Polish posters because of the album that you just got. I hope you'll appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Director. It was a pleasure. And yes, we are in this particular moment when we want to say there really is no time to waste. Mr. Marshall actually used these words, and that's not a surprise, actually. When you read the report that was the cornerstone for today, Mr. Marshall also has an introduction there, and it really just has to do with how concerned we are about the Baltic Sea. Now, to say that we're concerned would be a little bit different from the authors of this material, because they have spent so much time working on it, and I'm going to talk about it in a second. No time to waste unlocking the circular potential of the Baltic Sea region. We're going to be joined by the chief of this team working at this report, and his name is Adam Czerniak. Now, Adam, really great to have you. I know that you've been working on it since November.
Yeah, that's right. Hello and welcome. Can you hear me?
Yeah, your microphone will be...
What?
Yes, it is. It is.
Hello
Please
and welcome.
Just come closer so that you're in the spotlight. Yeah, because you deserve it. I mean, there was a team of almost 10 people working on it.
Yeah, there was a great team. I think it's one of the biggest reports that we've made at Politica Insight, and most likely with the biggest impact, because we did advise on transport, retail, and other things. I think I will take the micro. This time, we did make some recommendations for the circular economy, so we will have, hopefully, an impact on the global environment.
Adam, a pleasure to have you, and a big round of applause for all of your team. Thank you very much.
Thank you a lot. And thank you for the microphone. I'm not good at speeches, as my predecessors here on the stage, so I will do a presentation. I will start with something. Okay, it should work. Yeah, thank you, great. So, I will start with something basic for you here, but it needs to be said, because I, as a macroeconomist, does not see it each day, that the current growth model is unsustainable. We see that at university, that we are focused on GDP growth, growth of income, and that are the main goals. However, it's unsustainable. We have climate change, and everyone who is neglecting climate change caused by global growth is like saying that the Earth is flat. It's untrue. Then we have the degradation of the economic and natural environment. And last but not least, what already Thomas Robert Malthus in the 19th century did say there are limits to growth. Back then, in the 19th century, he said that, of course, the growing number of population will lead to global famine and growth will stop. Now we know that technical progress help us to avoid such kind of situation, but there are still limits to growth. Of course, overpopulation is one of the risks there, but then we have also resource scarcity. Of course, nowadays we have resources at hand, and that's the short term. The resource scarcity will hit us in the long term. But as an economist, I recall Keynes saying that we all live in the short term, in the long term we'll all be dead. But in that context, maybe when we manage to live throughout the long term, we'll really be dead because we won't have any resources, we'll be overpopulated, and the third risk, health issues. We'll have to deal with substantial health issues, global pandemia, due to the degradation of the environment that we see. And now, of course, one of the, in my opinion, the only feasible solution to it is the circular economy. And that circular economy is very important, and I would like to say a couple of words what I do understand under circular economy. Usually, we have the standard process of take resources, then make something, some goods out of it, then consume those resources, and then, last but not least, dispose them. And that's the economic growth model that's unsustainable here. We need to change it, change take into retake. We cannot take those resources that are somewhere deep underground and devastate our environment. We need to retake what we already had used before. Recycled goods, construction waste, you name it. Then, instead of making all the time new goods, reuse them. Reuse the goods that you have. I was thinking about an example, a real everyday life example, and I came up with one. And I would like to ask you, how many of you sitting here in this room, if you make your second coffee in a day, I know you drink more than one coffee, you pour that coffee into a new cup, or you pour that coffee into the old cup you used for the first coffee of the day? How many of you take the old cup to pour your coffee? Please raise your hand. Wow, great. Politica Insight team, let's learn from them. So that's what we call reuse, not the big reuse that we are thinking of, small reuses that are very important, that can save us water, energy, fuel. But then, the most difficult thing, instead of consume, we need to deconsume. There is even a trend in economics, a field of research that is aimed at deconsumption. So degrowth theory, we have something like that. It's really unpopular among economists. But it's there, and we need to deconsume. If we do not need to consume something, do not consume it. And then, of course, the most obvious one, instead of throwing something away, recycle. And that means not only that you need to recycle, but you also need to think before producing how to make a given good recyclable, how to reuse that in the future. And that is our understanding of the circular economy. All those four aspects, of course, you can name more of them. And even the most important one, what you can see here rethink. That's a meta aspect of the circular economy. But we took those four into account and create a circular economy advancement index. We took over 30 measures that were available for all the countries in the Baltic Sea region. And then the best country in each indicator achieved 100% and 0% received the country that was the worst performer. And then we took some averages and created a circle. Okay? That won't be any surprise to you. There was no real circle. No country achieved 100% in each of the four categories that we did. Here on the slide, you see Poland. We are doing quite well. 42%, that's our average score. And you see one more thing here on that slide. I think it's very important. We did not make a ranking of those countries. The best at the top, the worst at the bottom. That was not the reason for this exercise. The reason for this exercise was to show each of these countries present here in this room that there is a field to improve and that we can learn from each other. See the average indices. They are not so far from each other. Of course, there are better performers, worse performers, but almost no country has reached above 50% on average. That means that in each field there's a country that's better than you. So if you are in this room, instead of saying, oh, I'm good at green energy, oh, I'm good at deconsuming, and plastic bottles, we do not have any plastic bottles at our country anymore. Don't focus on that. Focus on what you can do better. And that was the reason for this exercise we made, that we would like to pinpoint those advantages of each country in the region. Of course, not everything is measurable. If you look into the report and you see the measures that we have taken, you might say, oh, why not that measure, why not that measure? You are talking about reuse of cups in the office, and you did not measure them. No, of course not. We wanted to have some comparable measures between all the countries in the region, and that was not an easy task. However, of course, not everything is measurable. So we did focus in the report also on legislation and all those things that are not measurable. So we did analyze how many countries did implement a circular economy strategy. And here we have 7 dead seals. A dead seal means that no circular economy strategy, and only 2 seals that are alive, which means yes, they have a circular economy strategy. Then we have deposit schemes for plastic bottles. Here are much more seals alive, 8 countries that have it. Then we have also analyzed the circular economy promotion, education, how much advanced are those countries in that direction. And we placed 7 live seals for them. So mostly, as you see, those countries that introduced things are the same. And then we have the next group, the biggest group of countries. Bravo, coal phased out announced, already no coal plants, 9 seals alive, and 3 dead seals. And here at this moment, I'm quite sad that the Prime Minister of Poland cannot be here. You know why if you look at the flags on the graph. Internal combustion engine phase out announced. Also a couple of countries did do that, but still more countries are on their way for doing it. Of course, in the report, we did analyze more of those kind of things that are the most important ones that I wanted to show you. But then, on the basis of those best practices that we did find in our report while analyzing all the countries in the Baltic Sea region, we came up with some recommendations. Of course, I hear already for over 1 week, no, that recommendations are not good, we have better recommendations. Great! If you have better recommendations that we have, go ahead and say them to us. We are very open to it. And we'll have a panel at 3:15 today. Me and the second editor of the report, Paweł Wiejski, will be there and we'll be glad to answer your questions about recommendations. That will be a panel session about the recommendations. Here I will just discuss them very briefly. First, we start with general recommendations. And here we have a couple of them. Of course, you know the words. I could explain them in detail to you, but you know it. Green public procurement, really important that the state puts large stress on buying those goods that are produced with circular business models. Not only green goods by itself, but goods that are inside of the circular economy. Then, as an economist, I would like to stress a green bond union. Of course, Poland, praise us for that, have already issued green bonds, right? One of the first countries in the world. But still, there is a way to go in the field of a green bond union. Let's do it as a capital union. So make a common market for green bonds with common standards, common green taxonomy, so that private companies has much more easy access to money for green investment. And there are investors that would like to enter a green bond market for sure. I have talked to plenty of them. It's profitable, it's ecological, it's good for their CSR, and they would like to do it. Of course, to have a green bond union, you also need the green taxonomy. It was already proposed, a very interesting document. I suggest you to read it if you did not do it by now. But still, it's too much focus on green energy. There are plenty of other things that should be also included in a green taxonomy so that the financing for investment in, for example, a sharing economy or other circular economy business models is easier. Then, of course, changes in taxes, something that economists do talk a lot about. But here, I think about a solution that would be fiscal neutral, so neutral for the public deficit, and something that's quite popular in that kind of solutions fields, a bonus-malus system. So a system of subsidies to products that are produced in line with circular economy goals that are financed from taxes on polluting high CO2 emission products. So there is tax on those products that are no good, and those taxes finance those products that are good. And that kind of a system in the circular economy, in my opinion, is a most effective one. And of course, at the same time, it's something that politicians would like to adopt. Last but not least, ecological conditionality. I have a dream one day that politicians, instead of saying, we won't pay you your EU funds because you do not have the proper rule of law in your country, are saying, we won't pay your EU funds because there are coal mines in your country, because your CO2 emission is too high. I would love to hear that in the future. Okay? Thank you. Every time someone says, I have a dream, then there's applause in the end. So I did it on purpose. Okay. And then we have also some recommendations for the region. And those recommendations are really technical recommendations, so on a plenary session here I won't go into many details. I would leave them for our parallel sessions. But to go through them, we would like to see the circularity, so circular economy as a horizontal action. We would like to have more regular forums and working groups on the circular economy so that we can meet and exchange those visions that all of you have, not we as Politica Insight, not we as researchers, but all of you here exchange your visions because, as we have shown with our Circular Economy Advancement Index, you have the ideas and you know how to implement and become more circular, and that's why you need to exchange those ideas between yourselves, and also you need to exchange those ideas and have the power to introduce them and implement them into law. Of course, for that, some additional funding is needed. So funding the circular economy in the Baltic Sea region would be of great benefit, maybe also in the bonus-malus system I was talking before. Then, a very important thing, searching for competitive advantages. A thing that I haven't mentioned until now, but it's there in the report, and what Commissioner Bieńkowska said, that the circular economy could be of great benefit, also for the economy, because it's quite profitable, and those who are leaders in introducing some circular economy solutions, like the Germans and renewable energy, solar panels, they get the benefit as the first entrants, so they have a competitive advantage. Try to look, during these 2 days you are here, for the competitive advantages that you can find in your region, so that you are the leader introducing a tiny but important piece of the circular economy worldwide, and then you can sell to others the intel, and your companies could benefit from that. And last but not least, when I'm talking about companies, most important thing here, shareholder engagement. Please do not lock up ourselves in this wonderful place, but still, open the doors to all stakeholders that are involved, to private companies, from Uber to ArcelorMittal, to all the companies that are important for the circular economy, and also for all the other stakeholders, non-profit organizations that are each day dealing with circular economy issues. Invite all of them to the discussion, because without them, without this involvement of the stakeholders, it will be much more difficult to provide the best suited solutions for circular economy. That's it from me now. So thank you. However, I see I have 5 minutes time, so something changed. So thank you. Once again.
Thank you, Adam.
Now official. Yep. Thank you.
Now, Adam, I hope you don't mind if I just share a personal story that has to do with my grandma.
I don't mind.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, if you say
Go
so.
on.
If there's a green light. So my grandma is very aware of these things. I feel like maybe it has to do with a generational change, because my grandma would reuse everything that she has. So for example, if on one day we don't finish all the potatoes, she would kind of turn them into like a different form of kluski on the next day. And I don't know the English for kluski, I'm sorry about
Dumplings?
that. Yeah, dumplings.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of dumplings, but not exactly dumplings, so it's a little bit more sophisticated. But she isn't always that sophisticated. That's what I wanted to tell you, because last time I gave her a big gift. It was a really nice wine. It was her birthday. And so I would put it in a bag, which was really fancy. It was gold and silver. It looked really posh. And so I was kind of concerned when she arrived at my home a week later. and she brought, because she sometimes brings food to me, I don't know in what light that kind of puts me, I don't know if that's, if that's a good thing.
Don't worry, like with cats, everyone is sleeping with them, but not everyone is telling that.
So imagine the fancy bag that used to have wine in it with 2 jars of potatoes, cutlets, and cabbage. That's what she does. Yeah, so I just wanted to tell that maybe it has to do with generational change, and maybe we need to come back to some of these. Like sometimes when I'm at events, like very elegant events like this one, I would come back with the plate that I was using before, and the waiters will look at me very strange. They would be like, why don't you take another plate? Or why don't you take another
The same
cup?
goes with glasses on conferences. If you go with your glass and ask for a drink again, they're just taking it, putting it into the dishwasher and giving you a new one.
Yeah, there's almost no chance for that.
Okay, and I have a personal question then.
Tell
What
me.
do you do with the jar you get from the grandma?
I
Do you give it back to her?
No, you're like an inspector, but I appreciate it because there's a good reason for that. And so we live really close to each other. So not only do I bring the jars back to her, not only do I wash them, obviously, because I'm a nice grandson, but I also only use my bike to get to her place. So that's the ultimate winner. Thank you very much, Adam Czerniak.
Thank you.
Also a biker. It really was a pleasure. I hope that you will enjoy everything that's yet to come. We actually want to prove and kind of tell you how going circular is achievable and that it actually is the pathway to well-being in our region. So this will actually be the topic of the debate that will follow up.